I'm back. I hope you're fine. Today I'll talk about something fabulous. Do you want to discover what makes you you? Let's find out! Have you noticed that we humans are all built the same way, with one brain, 2 eyes, 1 nose, 2 ears, and the same organs, but still we are all different in our characteristics? What makes us who we are? To see what makes us so different and unique, we have to dive into our body and the fabulous microscopic universe of cells and DNA. What are cells? The cell is the basic unit of structure and function in all living organisms. Cells are the microscopic building blocks of life. They are so tiny that we can only see them with a microscope. We have between 30 and 40 trillion cells. When they group together, they make tissues, and when these group together, they make the organs. At the start of their lives, all cells are identical. These are called stem cells. Depending on whether the organism is a plant or an animal and the job that the cells need to do, the cells will change to become specialized cells such as the nerve cells that make up the human nervous system and brain, the red blood cells that carry oxygen and carbon dioxide in our bloodstreams, the white blood cells that protect us against viruses, the muscle cells that are what make up the muscle tissues in our bodies, the ciliated cells that line up together to make the walls or linings of our organs, and the skin cells that are called epithelial cells. Cells have many parts, each with a different function. The main parts of the cells are the nucleus, that is the brain of the cell, the vacuoles, that store fat and other substances, the endoplasmic reticulums, that are rough and smooth tubes that move and store the materials made by the cell, the cell membrane, which is like the skin of the cell, that is made up of lipids, the cytoplasm, that is a jelly-like liquid where the organelles of the cell are found, the mitochondrion, that produces energy that is used by the cell to break down substances, the Golgi body, that stores and transports newly made substances until they can be released through the cell membrane, the ribosomes, that are like protein factories, the lysosomes, that digest the cell nutrients, and finally, the DNA, that contains the information about who we are. What's DNA? DNA stands for deoxyribonucleic acid. It's a big molecule that contains the instructions that make us who we are, like the blueprint of a house. For example, the color of our hair and eyes, our height, the shape of our nose, etc. It has 2 strands that are shaped like a twisted ladder. That's why we call this shape a double helix. The 2 strands are held together by chemicals, bases, which form the steps of the ladder. What's DNA in our body? DNA is stored in the chromosomes, which are thread-like strands, and they are found in every nucleus of every cell of the body. They cannot be found in the red blood cells because they don't have a nucleus. The chromosomes carry information about us in units called genes, and we have hundreds or even thousands of genes. Humans have 23 pairs of chromosomes for a total of 46 in each cell. That means we get 23 chromosomes from our father and 23 from our mother. Among them, there is the XY pair that determines if we are biologically a male or a female. Females have 2 X chromosomes called the XX, while males have an X and a Y called the XY. And we can find chromosomes in every living thing, like in plants and in animals. For example, potato cells have 48 chromosomes and mosquito cells have 6 chromosomes. What's the structure of DNA? Each piece of DNA has 2 long strands. Each strand has a backbone made of phosphate and sugar. These 2 strands that make up the sides of the ladder are joined together with chemicals called bases. That means that one base on one strand is connected to a base on the other strand by a hydrogen bond. They make up the rungs of the DNA ladder. The grouping of phosphate, a sugar, and a base is called a nucleotide. Each base has a name: adenine A, thymine T, cytosine C, and guanine G. A only pairs with T and C only pairs with G. As you can see, DNA has the shape of a twisted ladder that is called a double helix. What's the genetic code? How does it work? The 4 bases A, T, C, and G that are found in the DNA are repeated in different orders again and again in each strand of DNA. Human DNA contains about 3 billion pairs of these bases. They represent instructions that the cell needs to read, and they form what we call the genetic code. In other words, the genetic code is like a language that uses lots of different sentences called genes that will give instructions to cells. Every 3 letters makes up a word called a codon. A string of codon may look like this: AGT, CAA, GAC, TAG, CAT. A gene tells a cell how to make a specific protein because the proteins will be used by the cell to perform certain functions, like to grow and to survive. To know which proteins to make, when to make them, and where, the body relies on the instructions that are in the DNA. As the DNA can't leave the nucleus of the cell, a temporary copy of the DNA code is transcribed into a molecule of messenger RNA called mRNA ribonucleic acid, which can leave the nucleus through a pore. This process is called transcription. Then, once the mRNA is in the cytoplasm, it will follow the instructions to make proteins. This process is called translation. Here is an example of how it works. Once genes get a go signal from the cell, the DNA unwinds, the base pairs are separated so that a copy can be made that is mRNA. A single-stranded copy of the gene sequence is made using RNA bases. The base U, uracil, is used instead of the base T, thymine. Once the mRNA is made, it leaves the nucleus through a pore, then a ribosome, a molecular machine, will translate the mRNA sequence into proteins. Genes code for traits like our eye color, hair color, and height. We need 4 genes to shape a nose, more than 100 genes to help to control hair color and texture, and at least 16 genes to give eyes their color. And for example, the sequence GTC-ATT might be responsible for curly brown hair, while the sequence GTC-AAT might be responsible for straight black hair. DNA interesting facts. Number 1. Did you know that in each cell there is about 2 meters of DNA? If you could stretch out all the DNA in your cells, it would reach the sun and back more than 300 times. Number 2. We are 96% similar to chimpanzees. Can you believe it? Number 3. Humans' DNA are 99.9% identical. Amazing, right? Number 4. The DNA makes an exact copy of itself when the cell divides to grow and to repair. This process is called DNA replication. Number 5. Gregor Mendel discovered that inheritance involves genes and that it takes more than 20,000 genes working together in the right order to build a human body and keep it running. Number 6. Rosalind Franklin was the one who first discovered the double helix shape of the DNA in 1952. That's it for now. The human body is incredible, don't you think? Anyway, I hope you enjoyed my documentary. As for me, I was happy to learn more about DNA and share all of this with you all. I'll be back soon. See you! Thanks for watching. Bye-bye!